Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarappel, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your undergod. Turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. Welcome back to the No Name Brand Podcast, folks, and in this week's episode, I have a treat for you. Why? Well, because our next guest has a playroom. You heard that right. He has a playroom, and it's a place where artists can uniquely be reminded to play, to reframe how we look at opportunities, and are nurtured to reach their fullest potential through PLAY. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that as adults, we don't play enough, whether it be with our kids, at work, in our businesses, or in life. So how do we go from routine to playtime? Well, that's just what we're going to find out from our next guest. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive in. Here he is, Andrew Eggleton. Hello, Andrew.
That's the best introduction I've had in so long. Thank you very much. It was
Thank
almost
you.
like the real thing. Wow.
We are in the playroom, people.
Ooh.
Where are you in the world today?
I am in Melbourne, just got back from Adelaide and Sydney doing workshops there. And was just telling you that today is like 15 degrees and then a couple of days ago it was like 35 degrees. So yes, welcome to Melbourne.
Welcome. They're going into summer, people. In Europe, we're going into winter. But you're not from Australia, are you?
I'm a Kiwi, New Zealand.
Love it.
Yeah.
My husband loves New Zealand. If he ever lived anywhere else, he said it'd be New Zealand.
Beautiful country. It's just very small. You want to go there when you're either very young or very old.
He was very young, so it probably helps. He just snowboarded the whole time, so that's cool. So before we dive into this gorgeous, playful world, Andrew, share with us who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me as a client.
Nice. Good question to get this rolling with. Look, I started off when I was 20. I'm in acting, and I always wanted to be a TV presenter. And what's really funny is we talk about New Zealand being very small. There wasn't anyone teaching presenters in New Zealand. So I stuck with like 17 years of acting classes. And you know what's really funny? I still can't act. So, I mean...
Why do you say that?
It doesn't spin my wheels. Like, I can do it. And I have done it, and I've worked with Ryan Gosling and Michael J. Fox, and I've done films and lots of TV series, but there's something about it that feels very foreign to me. But in my early 20s, I only just discovered this in the last couple of weeks, this kind of a cool little thing. In my 20s, I had just this hunch, this desire that I wanted to shift the way that people present, and that's public speaking and presenting the camera. And this was before I even got my first job on TV. I wasn't even working at this stage. And just to show you how good I was at this stage, my first job on TV was a live broadcast. It was a music channel. And I had kind of head up the producer nonstop. I was that little hustler. And he gave me my big break on TV. And I applied all this pressure to myself. I thought that everything I said had to be incredibly poignant and life-changing for people, or incredibly funny. And that was a lot of pressure to put on myself. So I went on into the studio when we were live on air, and I was so bad, I made my co-presenter cry and run out of the room. I was left live on air having no idea how to anchor a show.
Oh my God.
And just, it was like a train wreck. And I walked out, and even my friends had disappeared. They're like, dude, we couldn't watch that. So I've come a long way. Then in my 30s, when I was really starting to, at this stage, about now, I was starting to run hot and getting a lot of work and hosting events in the weekends and the weeknights and producing behind the camera.
I have to interrupt you there, Andrew. So I just want to know, so when you have humiliated everything possible, where do you go from there? I mean, those are the best epic success stories because you have to fail. Where did you go from there before you got to 30?
I'm a fail fast kind of guy. And I have a very sensitive person, but I also have a very thick skin. As in, I know what I want, and it's going to take me to get my hands dirty to get there. I'm okay with that. And my mentor coach always laughs at how fast I fail. And then I get back up and then click it back together, my little lessons, and then I move forward really fast. So in my late 20s, I just started to get my little breaks. And I actually, this is interesting, you're just bringing this up for me. I had a really good break about age 27. At age 24, I was working with Ryan Gosling on a program called Hercules. And then as a working actor and presenter, you go in and out of, you're out of work and then you're in work. And I was eating 2-minute noodles and then I was flying wherever I wanted to go. And in my late 20s, I got this really good break and I started to become, I won't use this word very loosely, the celebrity that I didn't want to be because I wasn't actually good at anything. I was just becoming the Paris Hilton of New Zealand. And I don't know, I just went into myself and I went over and lived on an island called Waiheke Island off Auckland. It was about an hour away. And I grew a beard. And this is a funny story. Yes, it was like Castaway with my own Wilson. And I had a really good vegetable garden. And I just dropped out of society. And I remember this very pivotal moment. It was in February or March. This is summer in New Zealand. And I was standing talking to my neighbor beside my beautiful tomato plants. And I realized that I had this big beard on, but I also was naked. I had no clothes on. This is at the point I'd got to. And I was like, dude, you're 28 now. It's time to get back into society. It's time to get back into this. So I went back over and lived in Auckland. And it took me a little while to get house trained again and back into flirting with people in society. And then a few years later, I got a really massive break and it just flew from there. Someone gave me a break. I lied my way into a producing gig at a massive production company. Then he was a great mentor at the time. I just got my confidence up. And the more I got my confidence up, the faster and bigger I grew really, really quickly. And bringing this back to a loop of how I had no idea how to present, but I knew I had this hunch that I wanted to change the way people presented. When I was in this now in my mid-30s and working a lot, I always wanted to give my audience more. I wanted to give them the whole package. How could I give them something that wasn't two-dimensional or that I wasn't wearing a mask? And so they were going to judge me anyway. How could I give them the whole picture to judge me by?
Oh, wow. That's really good. I like that. Oh, that's good.
So basically that's what happened. And now I was on a series, a TV series 2 weeks ago. And this man, the person I was interviewing just said something and it reminded me of those 2 decades, the 2 different feelings. And that now I'm actually teaching that.
Wow.
And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a really cool aha moment. I was going, oh my God, this is 20 years. And I would never have a picture 20 years ago that this was what I would had in mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet it's perfect.
That's incredible. So what do I get as a client? What's in it for me?
Basically, from a teaching perspective, and I teach something I call the heart of presenting. And it could very well be called the heart of connection. I drop presenters from their head into their heart, and that's not dropping presenters on their head, not to be confused. Although some definitely present like they have been. I get them out of their heads. Presenting for me is a feeling. It's not just a doing, it's a feeling. And effectively what I do is I get my clients to that space where they're feeling, they're in that zone and they're feeling that space where they're really speaking from their full selves. And you can see it light up in their eyes. You know they're in that zone. And then once they've felt that, that's where I want them to seek every time they speak.
Oh, I love it.
Because as human beings, and we're coming into, God, it's 2018 very, very shortly, 2019, 2020. And
Stop! It's going so fast already.
More than any time in our lives, we, as people, we're after connection. And for me, this is just my point of view. For me, if I'm in the audience, I want to be connected with. I don't want to be manipulated anymore. I don't want to be manipulated into selling something. I'm not into my left arm standing out here because this is the future and my right arm pointing over here because that's the past. I'm into connecting and getting the energy flowing in a room and being open and vulnerable, that energy goes through you and then back out into the audience. So they're getting all of you.
That actually brings me to a question I was going to ask later on, but we're speaking about it now before we get to the playroom. Because one of the services that you specialize in and offer is the presenting. So this is a huge thing. And you've also got online course going on at the moment that starts in December. There are a lot of the listeners desperately, they've set it as their, milestone to be presenting on TED and to go on to TED. But the thing is that whole dropping from mind to heart that they really want to bring across, how in 20 minutes? You've only got 20 minutes. What message could you squash into 20 minutes and still be phenomenal at presenting? What do you have, like a 3-step or insight, or what can you offer?
I don't have any 5 pillars or 102-step things. I don't.
Damn it. I thought I'd suck him dry, people. I thought I'd suck him dry.
If there was, I could act by now. I was laughing at this because you know what I learned about acting is that when I was 20 and I went into the library and got a bunch of books about acting, you know what I learned from that? You can't learn acting from books.
You can't learn acting.
No.
I was just about to say, you learn acting from books.
And you can't learn presenting it's the same thing.
Boom! Just drop the mic. Yes!
Yeah. So 20 minutes, to answer your question. You've got 20 minutes. And the key here is this is where you do need the technical. I talk about the aligning 3 presenters' primary elements, and that is our brain, which is the technical. And then we have the heart, which is the source, where everything's coming from. And then the intuition, which is your ability to work moment to moment to moment with your audience.
Wow.
So you have 20 minutes, you put that together. It needs to be put together. But there needs to be this flexibility that you are working moment to moment to moment. It's not how this word's going to come out because you practice this 100 times in front of the mirror. That is not presenting from the heart. You can still speak in quotes and find your rhythm, but allow that audience to affect you and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Take that mask off and connect with your audience. Let them see who you really are, because that's when you fully get their trust. They see who you are, everything. I mean, some of you might want to cover that up. But for me, I like to be the example of which I speak of.
That's so true.
It's the easiest way. Instead of just do what I say, it's like I'm going to try and be as much of the example of which I'm telling you about right now.
Walk the talk. I love that.
Yes.
Love that. It's real honesty. Brene Brown, her whole thing, vulnerability, putting yourself out there. It's not easy. Nobody really wants to be vulnerable. I spoke about this. I did a Facebook Live that I strongly believe in faking it till you make it.
And so do I, actually.
Not faking it in the sense of putting a mask on and being someone that you're not, but aligning yourself with your values and imagining yourself as who you want to be and being that person.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly what, perfect. That's what I do too.
Yay! 2 points! Woohoo!
Yeah.
So I want to get through to this playful side now. No. How did you find your playful playroom? How did this come about?
Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to take you back 5 seconds. You know what effectively you have to do? We actually have to unlearn. With presenting, you actually have to unlearn. You have to unlearn all those things that we get taught to cover ourselves up, the masks that we wear to protect ourselves. It ends up with us being only a part of ourselves on stage. Do you know what I mean? And also the other thing too is it means that you feel like you have, no matter what mood you're in, you have to be able to get that mask and in the zone so I can go out on stage. But when you present from your true self, just all of you, you can just walk on stage no matter how you're feeling. And that's where you start, because this is me.
I wasn't listening. I don't think it was just an excerpt somewhere with Lewis Howes. And he was mentioning before he went on stage, he had prepared his talk or whatever. And beforehand, he went and spoke to the people and just said, what is it you want to hear from me today? And it's exactly that what you said. So everything he'd prepared in his head, the technical side, it wasn't really what people wanted to hear. So when he got on stage, he spoke from the heart and from intuition. And that's what connected the most with the people. It also has a lot to do with your knowledge and your experience that you have. I mean, if you're going on stage and you have no freaking clue what you want to talk about, then it's a different story. Then you just have to go into your head. And I don't know, maybe it still comes across with your heart and your intuition. I don't know, but I like those 3 things. But it's so true what you say. Yeah.
I guess my recipe is prepare, and then let it go.
Oh, wow.
So you're fully prepared. You know your stuff inside out. You have to be the expert. You're going on there. I mean, I can talk about presenting for days, nonstop. People know this. And which is the funny thing, people go, oh, but I'm really afraid I'm going to forget what I'm going to talking about or forget what I'm going to say on stage. And I go, how is that even possible? So in the class, I'll go, okay, I want you to speak about yourself. Can you speak about yourself, your history, where you've been, you as a kid for the next 5 minutes? Yep, no problem. And then they freeze. And what happens is that the brain and the mouth aren't communicating. So the brain has to choose the next right word, and the mouth just has to wait for that word to come, and then it passes through the lips, which means you get to talk in more sound bites. So you just choose the next right word to color your sentence, and then let that sentence leave your lips, and it gives your audience a nice little sound bite. Does that make sense? And the trouble with the pressure that a camera and a live audience puts on us is that we kind of freak out and our mouths shoot off. We've all felt this. I mean, I certainly have. And our mouths shoot off. And then,
Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You made a woman cry and leave the set. Or a man cry.
Wow, this is true.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, if your mouth shoots off and then your brain's kind of going, why are we going down this path? Man, you're leading me down a rabbit hole. There's nothing I can do about it. We've all been there, and it's like a train wreck on stage.
I love that.
Anyway, you mentioned the play.
Yeah, I mentioned the playroom. Yeah, and I also love the rabbit hole. Everyone sees the rabbit. Well, most see the rabbit hole as going down there and getting lost. I love the rabbit hole because it goes down there and you can experience new things, thinking out of the box, because that's where you really learn how far you can actually go, how far you can really push the envelope.
Nice.
So let's go to the playroom. Let's go to the playroom, Andrew. Tell us about the playroom.
Do you know, playroom for me, I mean, it changes all the time, but for me, we're adults now, unfortunately, but which means
well,
we have.
Look at it.
I don't do it very well.
Bingo, me too.
But we create, like what you're doing right now with this podcast is you've created this opportunity to play. And for me, my workshops, whenever I get booked on a speaking job or I'm teaching or whenever I go on TV, I've created an opportunity for me to go have fun. That's for me is not the hard work anymore. It's the only thing I can liken it to, and not to say I'm a professional athlete, but a professional athlete, the hard work goes in during the week. And then on the Saturday or Sunday or whatever sport you play, I'll go back to rugby being a Kiwi. Then on the Saturday night is the time that you express yourself and play. You know, the hard work, the focus, the meetings, the training's all gone in. And it's the same for us. I work really hard. But then when I go and do something that is my passion, like I go present or teach or go on TV, that's my fun time. The job's done now. I get to play. And if I play and express myself, then people will see that they will get the best of me. I'm not overthinking it. And it affects everybody I work with too, you know. You don't want to be Mr. Serious all the time.
You know, you mentioned that because that triggered something in me. I grew up acting, singing, dancing. So that's always been my thing. And I was always doing marketing and advertising because you have to market and advertise to get people to come see your show. And I was always the one on the center stage. And it was always like, oh, Sashka the actress. Oh, she's the prima donna. Oh, the queen of the stage. Until I moved here to Austria and it was too loud, too bold, too boisterous. And then I started hiding. And then I went into the non-playroom place where I was like, I'll become the serious one. I'll become the serious. And then I got kids and I was like, the serious stuff sucks. You can all keep it. I don't want to be like all of you. You're all suckers. In my opinion.
Sashka, do you think, is that how you've kind of revolted or come to where you are now? Like, it seems to me that you've created this thing for yourself that it seems like fun to me.
I've always had it. I always say for myself as well, for my purpose, I re-empower your underdog. It's not like you've lost the power. Like you said before, you unlearn things. But you have to go through those things to know that I don't like the brown side. I prefer the orange side. But you have to go through both sides. You can't love without hating. So I have to do both sides. And then once I experienced, I was like, I don't like that side. I like my side. My side's more fun.
Nice. That's true. What do they say? The secret of genius is the ability to take the inner child into adulthood.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
That is good. Yeah.
You can see those, you know, when you see those naughty old women or men, you know, when they're like 80 and you can just see that they're still naughty. Do you know what I mean? They've got that spark in their eyes. I love that. You go, they're still playing. They might not be able to walk anymore, but they're still playing.
You know who inspires me there it's Jim Van Dyke, the actor from Mary Poppins. He's still doing that. He's still joking around with people. I think he's like over 80 or something now. And that's exactly, and when I saw an interview, I was like, oh my God, he's still alive. That is incredible. I love that. That's what I want to be like. I want to be over 102 and I still want to be bouncing around like a Duracell bunny. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Can't lose. You lose that. And I don't know. I think you might go downhill quite fast once you've lost that little fun, that sense of play in life.
Yeah. But like you, I'm also a very fast failure. What did you call yourself? So it's very quickly.
Fail fast.
Yes. And then I'm back up and I'm like, cool. Right, what's next? Let's go.
That's it. Yeah.
So the playroom is, I don't want to put it in my words. Put into words what the playroom is then.
The playroom being my website, is that what you mean? Or the playroom? So what I used to do is, to be fair, it's actually changed a little bit. So it's written now Andrew Eggleton. I have got all serious on myself there. But the playroom was, I actually used to life coach. I had something called Life by Design, and which I have used to do exactly what you were talking about earlier, where I step into that. I teach people to step into that person that they need to be to have that life that they want. You know, it's the behaviors, the values, the skill sets, the what time you get up in the morning, and you know, all these little things. You know, what's different about that person that's in your head that is your idea of success, and the person that you are now. And then, of course, I was doing my presenting, so the website was about come into this playroom and choose where do you want to play. Do you want to go design your life, or do you want to come and learn how to present and speak? And for me, my teaching actually used to be called The Art of Play. Oh. And so when I was doing my workshops, it was not really just about presenting, but it was taking that serious. Because what it is we have this bar set so high for ourselves, and you constantly set yourself up for failure. The challenge that most people have when they get in front of a camera is that they try to be TV presenters, and they're just entrepreneurs. I mean, just entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs, and I will remind people that all the time. You're an entrepreneur. You're not a professional TV star or actor or celebrity. Lower the bar down and kind of say lower the bar so low it becomes a hula hoop and not your hangman's noose.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So stop hanging yourself and just play. And I actually said that on that TV show a couple of weeks ago, and they just happened to have a bloody hula set as if they knew I was going to say that. And then they made me get up and do the hula hoop.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a shame I don't see one around in your office. Otherwise, you'd be hula hooping now too.
It's true. I'm going to tilt my camera up.
I say, oh, where is it? Where is it? Oh, man. I want to talk about imagination. This is one of my primary values. Like, it's huge. Imagination, creativity, and wisdom. Like, this is through everything. And as a young kid, you grew up as the son of the headmaster. So you spent a lot of time at the school grounds. Little boy friends, lots of girls. So you didn't want to hang around with the girls, and you had to play around with your imagination. What am I going to do? How am I going to keep myself busy? What did your imagination get up to then? And how has it served you today? And what's the biggest leap between then and now's imagination?
That's such a good question. I can tell you've been doing some really good stalking.
I like websites and social media. It's very nice.
I lived in a school of 8 kids in this little tiny place that's not even, it doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh my God.
And I was there from 5 till 13, I think. And yes, my dad was a headmaster and my teacher. Mum was a PE teacher. And of course, because the nearest neighbor was miles away and they were girls anyway, I don't want to play with girls at that age. That became a hobby later. So what I did was just spend all my time going for long bushwalks by myself and just, and I didn't have anyone. You remember how little boys, they'll cut down a branch and use it as a machine gun and run around and shoot things. Well, there was no one else to play with, so I was just like shooting it, running around the forest by myself. And then I would get up and disappear at 8 a.m. in the morning, and Mum packed me lunch. And then when the sun came down, Mum expected me to come home. That was the life we used to live back then.
Cool.
Very different than now, perhaps.
When you were 20 in Castaway.
Yeah.
Reincarnate a different age.
Yeah. But something that I used to love doing was writing. And I would go over to the school, and for me was my fun too. I would go and write. I'd write at nighttime, and especially in the winters, put the fire on over the school and write. In the weekends, I'd go over the school and just draw and write. I had the whole school was mine. Everything in the school was mine. And I look at the way that I write now, and my writing is now my cut through in social media. And whatever I do, my love for words and how I write is one of my biggest assets. It's how I cut through with everything that I do, how I become very unique in the way that I talk and the way that I write. What was the last part of that question that you said?
Well, what's the biggest leap between then and now's imagination?
The ability to trust that imagination, that if I make something and to allow myself to put it out there to be judged, and however it comes back, whatever the response is, to allow that to be. That's the difference. As a kid, you'd show your parents and, you'd get that most of the time was that's give you a pat on the back or whatever. But now it's, as an adult, it's you're out there, this is my art. Now and then I make really silly videos. I did one, I created a song just a few weeks ago called the Indecisive Cooking Song. I don't know if you watched that because you were stalking.
No, I haven't, but I'm going to go find it now.
Yeah, it's just on my Facebook page. But it's just little things. And I mean, not that long ago, I did a cooking show where I literally just cut a feijoa in half. And I got a lot of viewers. It's just me having fun. And I put that out there and whatever comes back, just comes back. If it's not so good, then so be it. But I get to play. And the more I play, the better I get at it. And the braver I am, the more people just go. They associate me not with just being the brand of presenting, but also being a little bit quirky and fun. And that people sometimes come to my workshops, not even to present, but just to spend a day to have some fun. Like Andrew's coming in, let's spend a day with him. Oh, cool. And that's become more my brand.
The art of play.
The art of play.
I love that. I'd enjoy that workshop. I'd enjoy playing around. That would be fun. That's my kind of world.
It's a lot of fun. Sometimes I said this, I was in Sydney on Tuesday working and I was just laughing going, I actually can't believe you guys are paying me for this. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you've given me my money and now I come in here and play. And although I'm giving you 23 years of experience, I'm giving you everything that I can in this allocated time frame. But I love this so much. It's just strange that you're paying me for it.
I love it. I always say to my clients as well, because they're like, Facebook, social media, when I speak to people offline and they're like, you spend too much time on social media. And I'm like, well, first of all, I have assistants and business managers that help me with that. So I'm not there all the time. And for me, social media is my playroom. That's my office. I'm going into my office. I'm going to go have some fun. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to mingle. How are you, babe? Hey, guy. Meet some get some insight on new opinions. And then I switch off and go, and then I'll come play in the room tomorrow. It's fun.
Wonderful. I'm on your wavelength. I love playing in social media. Yeah, I have my content manager who does some of my stuff, but you will know the stuff that I'm putting out there. Yeah. It's all the coaches just know it's Andrew. He doesn't take this stuff seriously. Yeah. It's serious. You know what I mean? It's serious, but it's not. I'm playing.
My opt-in, I'm also singing a song. I'm singing
a song. Really?
Yes, I'll sing a song and then I'm like, come do my branding marketing course. I'll sing you a song. There's definitely lots of playroom happening. In business, we're told that we need to focus on the importance of storytelling. So what does it mean to write? Does it mean I need to write a story and then I need to tell it? And what does it mean to be a storyteller? Are there perhaps things that I should be keeping in mind? Because when you write a story, when you taught in school to write a story, you have your heading, you have the introduction, you have the body part, and then you have the conclusion or a moral. Are you doing the same when you're storytelling? Tell me, share with us your wisdom, Andrew. How must I storytell?
Can I do a couple of things? I'll give the audience something to implement, which is really, really handy for storytelling. And so you're always able to warm your audience up, and you've always got a story. And there's something called emotional cues. So emotional cues, this is when you know who your audience is. If you're going on and doing videos and you're trying to reach everybody, you're getting nobody. The reality is that you go in and 100, it's an easy number, 100 people watch it. 10 people get to the end. 3 or 4 people are like, oh yeah, maybe. And one person's like, wow, you were speaking right to me.
Yeah.
And that's when you have chosen who you're speaking to. So emotional cues are when you go out on stage and you're looking to create a relatability to the audience. And so you're dropping stories and you've kind of done your research, but sometimes when you do research and then you get up on stage and you realize they're actually not who you expected. So you get,
right.
So So you need to be nimble. So emotional cues are when you're dropping pieces of stories, or you're dropping stories and you're watching the audience, basically they nod. People nod when they're like, oh yes, I'm in agreement with him right now. Yes,
Like
yes.
me, you can't see me, but I'm
Oh my God, yeah. They're like, Andrew's just like me. Wow, he's on my same wavelength. So that's an emotional cue. You kind of pepper your talks with emotional cues when you can. A way to do this is a really cool exercise, is you get a whole lot of little Post-it notes and then you write down, this could be up to 100. I used to have a lot, but all the little experiences in your life that have affected you and made you who you are now and what you do. So the one that you brought up as an example before about me being my imagination as a little kid, that's a story I use a lot. Because I'm looking for just people who understand, oh, my imagination as a little kid, and now I can see them nodding in the audience. I'm like, okay, I've got you, and you, and there's another 10 over there that I still haven't got on board yet. Now, what story am I going to throw out they will relate to? And because I've got like 100 Post-it notes with all my little stories, because I always look at them, they're all in my head. I don't need on my wall anymore, but my clients do. And whenever I'm speaking to them, I'm always laughing because I can see them on the back wall. And it just gives you this sense of confidence. You go, okay, well, that story is not going to work in this audience, but I've got another 99 I can try out. So I'm going to go to around about age 13 and I had this cat and blah, blah, blah. And you can just see, okay, that person got that one and that person got that one. So it gives you this really a full armory of stories. It's a super handy thing to do.
I'm going to be doing that exercise. You won't be able to see it. I'll take pictures for you and then I'll put it around. All the stories. I got lots of stories to tell. Lots of stories. I love that. Yeah. Thank you for that tip. That's awesome.
Easy. Do you know what? You were talking about storytelling. With video, it's really simple. It's a beginning. What are you going to tell us? And then tell us. And then tell us what you want us to do.
Yeah.
So it's so simple. What are you going to tell us? Then tell us. And then what do you want us to do? Sometimes it's go to my website, comes with this, or sometimes it's go and do this exercise, or sometimes it's tune in, and it can just be tune in next week, or I don't know what you're in with your podcast. It's a call to action.
I love that. I've organized with my partner. We're doing a workshop in London next month, and we've arranged for an afternoon tea party next week. So that's pretty exciting. Just come and join us for an afternoon tea party. We don't want to do a challenge. We've gotten over all those challenges. We're bored of all the language online. Come and join us for a tea party.
I like that. I like that. There's so many words being overused these days, isn't there? It becomes like and the trouble is, instead of people speaking just using their words that they would normally use, everyone's looking for that next word and they kill it. And instead of just going, how do you speak?
Yeah, exactly. I did a video on that as well.
Yeah, it really is.
Speak to me in normal language. What do you do? Yeah. I don't want to hear that you over fluffy unicorn bullshit, whatever. What do you do? Oh, I'm a coach. Great. What do you coach?
What's wrong with that? Why do you have to be a bloody magician or an alchemist? Whatever it is, why do you have to be these things? Just be a bloody coach, be proud of it. But this is what I do.
And this is pretty interesting because this has a lot to do with imagination. And a lot of entrepreneurs that don't, or they feel they don't have the imagination, feel the need to have a title, in inverted commas, that lends them this imagination. So they seek for that. They look for that to try and bring that into their lives, into their business. Yep. And they're looking for something that's already there. And I always say you have all the answers in you. You just have to ask the right questions. So you need to know yourself very well to ask those questions.
Do you think?
Yep.
So another question. I'm interviewing you now, basically.
Go for it.
I can tell you already. Do you think that there is nothing that's going to ever beat just being excellent at what you do?
What do you mean?
Well, we're talking about if you're a coach, sometimes I just feel it's not the fancy words and it's not the best marketing. It's nothing can beat if you are just really bloody good at what you do. It's like that crappy little Italian place on the corner where there's rats out the back, but they have the best lasagna in the world. And you go, well, I'm going there. I don't care what I've seen. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to have fancy tablecloths or waiters. It's just the food. And if people, my theory, and it seems to be working, is if I just shine bright enough, then people will come. If I just do the work and I get the results, that people come. I don't need the best branding and the best marketing. That eventually, and it is, people are drawn to that. They want results.
Yep. I feel You can only shine your brightest when you know what you're actually shining for and whatever
Nice.
that purpose is. Then that really shines through. And you were speaking about it before. When you're in the audience, you want to speak to that one person. That one person is 1% of the whole population that think like you, is a soul group. And that soul group, you can speak to each other forever. There's always a common theme running through there that you're talking to each other, but they don't always see you. So that is, in essence, why you need branding and marketing, to get yourself in front of their faces so they can see you and go, I recognize you. I know you. And it's without you speaking, they can see you in your branding and marketing. And then they can take up contact with you.
Okay. You've swayed me the other way. But also what you're saying really too is you're speeding the process up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Collapsing time.
I like that. Collapsing time. That's pretty fancy, actually.
Check me out. I'm going down the rabbit hole. See you all later. Oh, God. Hey, I could talk forever here, but I have
you could.
2 more questions for you. I could, hey? That's why I love that I've gotten into podcasting. I always knew I loved talking and presenting, but I didn't know I'd enjoy it this much. 2 questions I ask everyone near the end. But before I do that, I would love to ask you if you're going to be in Europe soon.
I am intending to be in Europe to do a series of workshops around July.
In July. And where in Europe?
At the moment, I'm not sure. Definitely London. And other than that, I'm not sure. I've got someone else organising that for me over there. So it'll be America in June. So Miami, LA, and New York, and then over to Europe.
That sounds awesome. I'd love to come and attend. So that's just me. I'm sold and hooked, people. I'm going to Andrew's workshops, playroom.
Nice. I'll have to call it that just for you.
Oh, please do. Please do. So my first question for you is, I would like your spin on 3 of my values, what you think they are. So fill in the blanks. So creativity for you is?
Creativity for me is being the vehicle for something greater than myself.
Ooh.
So creativity is always, when you create something and then you go, how the hell did I do that? Or how the hell did I just think that up? Do you know what I mean?
Cool. I love that. Wisdom for you is?
Wisdom is learning through my failures and listening to people who have already done it and failed.
I like that. Marcus Aurelius. Passion for you is?
Passion for me is opening my heart.
I like that. How do you want to change or challenge the world doing what you do?
My big vision, and I think going back to what we said earlier, that in my 20s and 30s, and it's really crystallizing, is I want to change the way people connect using the tool of presenting. That's my big vision. Prepared to say that and have people on board who wanted to do the same thing, and that's my tribe. And I find that I kind of feel that's, after all these layers have been peeled off, that's what I'm here for.
It has been awesome having you. I'm so pleased that we connected. I think it was in the coaches group on Facebook with Vanessa Talbot. Really pleased that I did. Really pleased that you were here with us and sharing your insight and your playfulness with us. And I'm really looking forward to attending one of your workshops. I'm really excited about that. So keep us posted on that one.
Thank you very much for making the time to interview me. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm going to tell you that you're very good at this. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. It's just, do you know what it is? Is because interviewing now, podcasts and webinars has become it's become a little bit of a normal. It's like a tool for entrepreneurs, but they're forgetting that it's actually an art form. It is an art form.
That's true.
And it's doing your research. It's quite uncanny. I was speaking to someone coming back, flying home yesterday, and I was saying the keys to interviewing was being able to listen, doing your research, and then asking the questions as they come up, like working moment to moment. It's like, there she goes. Sashka was the example.
That was me. It was exactly that. I did all my research, had all my questions, and I'm going, damn, we've already answered that. What was the other question? Because it links with this one. That's freaking brilliant. Let's go into that one.
Otherwise, what happens is that by the 10th interview with somebody, if you do a number of webcasts and podcasts, and they're asking the same questions and they've done no research, it's kind of like, oh, do I have to say that again? Yes. And you start to lose excitement. You can see how, not that I'm a rock star, but you can see how rock stars and celebrities get fired up and walk out on an interview because they're like, Jesus, man, have you not done any work? Like, this is your job.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to be seeing and hearing from each other very, very soon, and I so look forward to it. It's going to be awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.